You're running quickly, faster, left, right, shaking. The bridge is shaking. Weak it holds, but not for very long. Crunching, slipping, the snow is sliding. It heaves, pulling at you. Slower, slower you move. Faster, faster you hear it. The pause, the teeth snarling, biting behind you. Move! There's nowhere to go. Over the side you fall, so you look up, bow drawn, your shoulders are aching. This is your final stand. Moments like these, they have happened to many adventurers who've braved through this tough land, so today I will be listing 5 final stands in Skyrim. Let's get into it. Starting off with number 5, we don't have a battle between sword and shield, we have a battle of the mind. You can find this at Haldir's Cairn, this is to the southwest of Falkreath. Right when you walk in, you see it. A strange blue light surrounding a mound, and it's got 3 bodies around it. These are the bodies of Agrius, Rain, and Vidgrod. And all of them were actually bandits, not, say, necromancers. So what gives with all this magic? Well, these 3 bandits were actually kicked out of their previous gang, and they needed a place to stay, so they came here. Now, it was actually Agrius who didn't want to stay for too long, but he couldn't get the others to follow him. Something was happening to them. They wouldn't speak. They would just stare off into space. Well, maybe they're sick. Okay, so Agrius thought he should just leave without them, but then he realized he couldn't either. He couldn't physically leave. Something was possessing him. This final stand, it turned into a battle of the mind, trying to hold off whatever was infecting their heads. But eventually, they just couldn't do it. It turns out a spectral draugr named Haldir had possessed them, and then literally forced them to jump and kill themselves so that he could then absorb their life essence. Imagine trying to pull yourself away as you feel your feet one after the other just over the gap, and then you jump. Number 4, we have an expedition that went wrong from the start. You can find this at Schuenzel, and this is below Understone Keep in Markarth. Now this team came here to research the Dwemer. Problem is, they didn't realize just how many creatures would really be waiting for them, and they were all killed apart from each other as well. So first you'll come across Alethius. He was one of the guards trying to protect this group, but he had been swarmed by Nimhi and all of her spiders, bitten all over. Then, as you move on, you can find Strom. He had been studying this rare tree that he found, not usually found in a place like this. Well, cut down, he would find himself very quickly. Then, we have Urge, the group's lockpick. Yeah, always been pretty nimble with his hands. Killed by a Falmer so quickly he's still hunched up against the stone that you can find him. After him, that is Crag, one of the most determined of the group, actually very excited to begin his research. Even had the protection of 2 other guards right next to him. But, in a wide open area like this, yeah, no chance, no hiding. They were slaughtered just as they were waking up from their bedrolls. And lastly, we have Stobin. This was a teacher, actually willing to use some of the students he brought along here as a distraction so that he could then escape. Well, they all died, it didn't work, and soon it would be his turn. So here we have this huge expedition. They came to this place, but there were so many Falmer, so many Dwemer machinations that none of them made it out alive, all dying in their own lonely corners. Number 3, we have something you just wouldn't really expect. You can find this just to the east of Valthum. As you get closer, you'll come up on what looks like a troll's den. And yeah, sure enough, there are 2 trolls inside. So being the competent fighter that you are, well, you find a way to deal with both of them. You kill them, it's not very hard. But then when you go in and you search the cave, you can find the body of a Frafnir Trollsbane, a man bested by these 2 trolls. Not just any man, mind you. This is apparently the bane of all trolls. He even has a warhammer that goes by the same name, and it deals an extra 15 points of burning damage, specifically to trolls. Still, he was not able to come out on top. I mean, do you know how many trolls I've killed in my lifetime? People still only refer to me as the Dragonborn. Not like the Troll Thumper or something like that. So I guess this goes to show you that not everyone's final stand is going to be all that heroic. And also that Trollsbane is now up for grabs, and sorry, but I'm taking it. Yeah, Frafnir, he can just be referred to as Frafnir Trollsboned. Number 2, we have another expedition, and you never guess it, but it also went wrong. Yeah, you can find this at Alftand, to the southwest of Winterhold. This was a team of at least 7 people who came here trying to uncover, whatever secrets or treasures lie within. But it wasn't off to a good start because a heavy storm ended up snowing them inside, so already they couldn't turn back now. Problem is, it just spiraled down from there. At first, you can find Jadar. He's sneaking around, going crazy actually because of really bad skooma withdrawals. That's actually the only reason his brother Jazar took him to this place, try to clean him up. But as you can see, Jazar has already been killed. Now, by his brother, or by the Falmer, we actually can't be sure. It's up to you to decide. After this, the rest of the team, it's about 5 people, had been captured and then put into cells, but they all escaped, each going separate ways. So first, you can find Endrast. He had been hit with a poisoned arrow as he was running away. Now, yeah, he did manage to get out of sight and hide here, but, well, you can see it wouldn't really do him any good. Then, you can find Yag Gragortwog. She actually died fighting off a wave of Falmer so that Endrast back there, he had enough time to escape. Really a true friend she was, and judging by the scene around her, she put up one hell of a fight. Then you can find Valley. She was actually a mage that had been captured and then severely tortured. Yeah, you can see she had been poisoned, at least a little bit, and then stabbed multiple times with a dagger that's nearby. Pretty bad. And then finally, at the very end, you can find the last 2 people, and they're actually still alive. It's Sulla, who's the leader of this group, and then his bodyguard, Umana. Thing is, it's still not a happy ending. They get into a feud, and then they start fighting, and the whole time, I was so sure that Sulla was going to win. He always had more health than her, but then at the very end, Umana just went absolutely berserk, and then finished him off. It was crazy, and then, yeah, for closure, I did have to kill her, because, well, she was going to be hostile. So, this expedition, it had been troubled the whole way through. All of them died, fighting off as hard as they could, and they died in different ways, but some of them just had to endure much worse before taking their final breath. And number 1, we have an absolute slaughter, and again, we might play a little part in it. You can find this at Liar's Retreat. This is to the northwest of Karthwasten. You go in, and you can still see the Falmer scurrying around, so this must have just happened very recently. As you can see, this place was a bandit hideout, and it got completely overrun. There was a huge battle in the first room. I mean, tables knocked over to be used as shields, arrows flying into them, the minstrel was stuffed inside of a fire pit, the barmaid, she was stabbed right there on the counter. It was total mayhem. Actually, there's even a bandit who's still alive, locking himself in one of the rooms, trying his best to block the door with just as many baskets as he can find. His final stand against me was not very impressive, although I am flattered to have been there. But then, if you keep going, you can see where the Falmer burrowed in from, and then if you keep going, you'll eventually find one last person. This is the barman named Rod, and judging by the massive weapon next to him called Longhammer, as well as the Falmer trying to make, a show of his dead body, it's likely that he just unleashed everything he had on them. I mean, this hammer knocking their heads straight off, crushing their ribs, hurling them across the room. Rod's final stand is one for the books. But, question is, are you about to have yours? Because as you try to leave, the bandit chief of this entire place is going to come home. So, whose turn is it now? Alright, thank you very much for watching. I was actually thinking about going on an expedition recently, but yeah, I think I'm gonna call in sick. I haven't been feeling great. I've been feeling really low in magicka. Low in arrows. Yeah, I'm not going.